Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. Great content and a few technical issues earlier, which hopefully we'll get through later on. But thank you for joining me this evening. Are you the hairdresser you want to be? That's a big question, isn't it? So many times in our career, we start off in one direction, go off in another, and you think, what the heck just happened, right? How many of you can relate to that? So are you playing it safe? Sometimes, often, or all the time. So tonight, what we're going to be talking about is how do you come up with an idea for a hairstyle? Are you being authentic to the brand? Do you even know what your brand is? Is there intention around that? So tonight I have two very special guests with me. Sarah and Rosemary are going to be joining us in a few moments, and they're going to impart their wisdom and their knowledge into this subject. But I wanted to just sort of dive into this real hot and fast, and just want to say hello to our friends who are here. Please put comments in the chat as I go through here, and let's go on our lovely journey together. So hindsight is 2020, but what is the cost? So the question is, when the client leaves the salon, what do you see differently to when she was sitting in your chair? And that, I think, is a really juicy question. And with that said, I'm going to bring onto the stage Sarah and Rosemary, and they are with me, my fabulous friends. And Sarah is a new member of my team. She went through my training program, the designer program, and it's an honor to have her here tonight. So welcome, Sarah. Oops, if you'd like to unmute yourself, please, Sarah.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Good. I don't think we are all up on our lip reading right now. Rosemary is not only an incredibly dear friend, but she is also a member of my team. And hi, we got Star here in the house. Great to see you here. She's a member of my team, and just wonderful to have her here. And Rosemary's been with me for how many years, Rosemary?
2007, I believe. Yeah, it's been a good time. It's been a good journey.
It's been a very good journey. Rosemary's not a member of my team. She's both of these fabulous ladies have their own salon. They both are educators. Rosemary is also a certified coach for John Maxwell, who's probably the #1 leadership expert in the world. And I got certified with her, but she's active. I'm dormant, which is why I'm really dysfunctional, and she's really cool. So you're going to learn a lot more from her tonight than from me. So I have always said, when you stand a client up head to toe, you're going to learn much more about the shape and the style you're putting on that lady than anything else. Because when you think about it, the clients, so I'm just going to get up for a second. The clients, they're miming here. Clients sitting in the chair, you drape the baby, right? All you got is this little head poking out. You don't know what the hell's underneath here, right? It could be a frog, who knows? You don't know whether she's got a neck or not. It's like, what is this? And we create from this perspective. And many, many times we don't see the client walking. Obviously, if you're in your own business, then you're doing everything, but then you're not really eyeing it up and down. My point is, there's a way to stand somebody up, look at them head to toe, and design from head to toe versus just this. And when you design just like this, and she steps up and she does one of these, and you go, oh my God, this is inner dialogue, by the way. Oh my effing God, what just happened? She's a troll, or she's a giraffe, or is she even human, right? And you did not have any idea about what was sitting in your chair. So, okay, I'm a little bit theatrical, but that's the gist of where we're going tonight. Because hindsight is a very costly, whatever you want to call it. Rosemary, fill in the gap.
Costly mistake.
Thank you very much. See, I told you it's a very costly mistake. So I've had that happen many, many a time in my former career. But just recently, I've been being very intentional about this because I'm teaching it, and you teach what you need to learn. And so now what I do, and it's very, very elegant, and we're going to dive into who you are tonight. What is your style? We're going to unwrap how you come up with an idea. What's your creativity? What's really, really going on? And from there, I think you're going to have a huge insight tonight about where you are. And I'm going to give you absolute strong tools that you can use tonight, tomorrow, and off you jolly well go. So I now stand a client up before she even sits down. I don't have her crawl to the chair. I have her walk to the chair and I say this. And I'm going to bring back my mannequin so that we can have a conversation about her. So before my client even sits down, I just say to her, before you sit down, I just want to make sure the hairstyle we're going to do today is going to balance with your body type. That's what I'm doing. So I don't look at her this way ever. If you're the mirror, I turn her around. She's now got her back to the mirror. She's now holding a hand mirror. And we are having a conversation, not about the first person here, it's the second person. We're looking into the mirror this way. And I'm saying, I'm just going to make sure that the hairstyle we're doing today is just going to balance. And I'm going to say, I like this length through here, blah, blah, blah. We're going to go into the details of face shape in a moment. But I just want to make sure that what I'm doing here is going to balance for your body. And I may have it stand up again because I haven't done the whole narrative around the consultation. That is the first thing I do. And do you know what that does? When they walk away, I don't have that sick feeling in my stomach thinking, oh, cut that way too short. Rosemary, has that happened to you?
I don't even know if I can even count how many times it's happened to me.
And what's the feeling when it happens?
It's terrible. It's terrible. You just feel like, why am I, what have I done? I think it makes you feel, well, for me, it makes me feel like almost like I failed. It makes me feel like, how the heck am I doing this for as long as I am? Like, how did I get this far? It just, you just, all the little demon that sits on your, shoulder is just like, it's like taking you to court right now and telling you all the things you did wrong, and it actually, I always find, just in a quick nutshell, and I'm sure some of you guys may or may have not, maybe Sarah, you can relate, and Vivian, that one experience in a full day, it like magnifies the rest of the day. It doesn't matter how many great ones they were, because that one was a bad one. It just overpowers the day. And then I get pissed because I lose sight of when it worked versus when it didn't work.
Yes, yes. Sarah, for you, the experience?
Oh, definitely. And I actually had an experience last Thursday. So I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. She was my last client. She was a first-time client. I was sick, like really sick. And we did the consultation. It was great. She was a banana body type. She was probably in her 70s. She had a facelift that took her hairline back further away from her face.
Yes.
She had she had a double crown. Her hair was like, like when you're really tired and you're like at the end of your day and you're like, wow. And that's where like I completely fell back on my training with you. Like I got through it and it was good. The consultation, she is a banana body type. And she also had more of a narrow face. She wanted something that was like maybe a little too spiky and harsh for her. And she needed something a little softer. So we just talked about like, what the harder edges of the photo that she showed me versus the softness that she could wear with her hair, blah, 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 blah. But I fell back on my training and my skill set that I have acquired working with you. And I got through the day. I finished my night. And actually I finished on a high note, thank God, because it could have been a disaster.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we're going to play a game together, but let me set the game up first of all, and we're all going to do it. What is a 5-star consultation? So that's our first question. So first of all, there's the rational, which is the logical way of viewing a consultation. So the logic would be looking at this lady's hair, logically saying, the density, logically looking at her color level, logically looking at everything. I'm in my head space. There's the heart, which is the emotional journey. How do I feel about it? Am I excited about doing her hair? There's the emotional journey. Then, of course, there's the gut, the intuitive journey that I'm going to go on. So we're going to play a little game in a moment, but let's do a little bit of a deeper dive into this. Rational thinking is the ability to use logic and reason to make the decision and solve the problems clearly. It's a systematic, objective way of thinking that's based on facts and evidence rather than emotional bias. It's easier for this type of hairdresser to be more detached. And I think that is the big wow, wow, wow. Easier to be detached. So the rational person is looking at this hairstyle. It is analytical. There is a gap, there's a distance emotionally, there's a shutdown when you have it in its only as a rational person. Some people find this a very comfortable place to be because it's safe, right? It's a safe place to be because there's no emotion attached to it. You're working on logic. So you're looking at he here. Rosemary did these hair extensions, the hair extensions into the hair, the logic regarding the cost, the time, the maintenance, and all the other things that go into putting hair extensions into the hair and the client living with hair extensions. So you're understanding where I'm going here. Just give me like a raised hand. You understand? Yeah. You understand. Okay. So then the next thing is from this place, we've got the rational, logical, analytical hairdresser is going to look at the sections, the mapping. They're going to look at everything very, very technical. And that is amazing. But now let's move into the gut feeling about something. So I remember when I did this lady's hair, the gut feeling was, oh my gosh, look at all this damage in her hair. We need to kind of give it richness and shine. She's looking a little ordinary and she's a beautiful girl. Let's pop in a fringe. Let's do facial framing. The beat goes on, right? So the gut feeling is, yeah, I feel this is really good. But what else accompanies the gut feeling is that it is intuitive. It is instinctual. It's survival. And so, for example, this lovely lady, if I'd have played it safe, I would have failed her. But by pushing the envelope, it was where she wanted to go, right? That was where she wanted to go. So when you think about it, you've got the rational, logical. You've got the gut feeling. Now, the danger here. Let's just move into this for a second because this is really, really very, very powerful. What does it mean when you feel it in your gut? A hunch, an instinct, a deeper knowing, the ability to immediately understand something without conscious reasoning. In other words, answer and solutions come to you, but you may not always be aware of exactly how and why. So, for example, this lovely lady, from having a short hairstyle back to a longer hairstyle, we grew her out to this particular look. My gut feeling said she's not going to go into short hair anymore. She's on this path of long hair. Don't, whatever you do, push this too much because it could be dangerous, right? So we've looked at the analytical brain. How much time do we live there? We're looking at the gut. Now, if you live in the gut area for too long with all of your decisions, it's highly, highly stressful. The gut intuition of, I think I should not cut her hair so short, or I don't think we should do this. She's saying yes, but really she means no. She's a fence sitter, right? She's vacillating from one to the other, or she's a resistor. Whatever what you're getting, that intuitive power that we have, we should listen to. But if we live by it, it's highly stressful and it's a place of anxiety and it never switches off. So it's a tool to use, but you've got to know how to switch it off. Otherwise, it's a very unhealthy place to live. That's where stomach issues arise and all the other things that are related to highly, highly strong emotions because we're living in the gut. So we don't want to live in the gut all the time. We don't want to live in the head all the time because we can miss the other parts, right? And bear in mind, when we're talking about all of this, there is your relationship with yourself, which we're discussing right now. Then there's the relationship the client has with herself. Does she have high self-esteem, low self-esteem? And then there's the relationship that you have together, right? There's a lot of emotion going on. No wonder people can live in the rational mind because you can keep that distance and just literally switch off. So that's very, very powerful. So now the next part of this really lovely equation is the heart, the love, the joy, working with this lovely lady, creating all of these lovely looks. The heart, thinking using your heart is thinking how you feel, doing what feels right, needing no reason, sometimes even going against the obvious or the right thing to do. It just feels like the right thing to do. You're excited, client's excited, everything's lovely. All the stars are in alignment, right? So it's a beautiful place to be. So we're going to play the game. So we've got the rational, we've got the gut, and we've got the heart. So we're going to now play this game. Oops, let me just go back here for a second. I apologize. And we're going to play this game together. So Rosemary and Sarah, I want you for a moment to think of your worst nightmare client. My friends at home, I want you to think of your worst nightmare client. Now, I want you to ask yourself something about when you were in that consultation with your client. I want you to go to your head right now, put your hands on your head, and ask yourself right now a question from your head about that client. Just about your head. Now I want you to go to your gut and ask yourself a question, the same question of that client from your gut. Now I want you to ask the same question and put your hand on your heart. Hand on your heart and ask your heart. Sarah, when you ask rational, gut, and heart, tell me what happened. And in the chat, please write down what happened for you.
Well, so my question was, what is wrong with you? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, I mean, there's this woman that I'm like on the verge of, I'm trying to figure out how to politely like let her go. So here I'm like, what is wrong with you? Trying to like understand her. Then in my gut, like, what is wrong with you? Like, ugh. But then my heart, when I say, what is wrong with you? There's something wrong with her. Like that exercise about her in mind gives me more empathy for her.
More compassion. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So when you touched your heart, you felt the compassion.
Yes.
When you're in your head, there was irritation, right?
Yes.
And then when you're in your stomach, did you have a little sense of nausea?
I'm like, ugh.
Okay, yeah. Great. Okay. Rosemary, let's do the same thing with you. When I had that difficult person in your head, how did it feel?
I was angry.
Angry in your head, in your gut.
In my gut, the anger kind of morphed into my gut in a form of like, I feel like I have to go to the bathroom type of thing.
Okay. And in your heart? In
my heart, I just said, it made me feel sad, but it didn't make me feel sad at the same time because the challenge is that I allowed the person to control the situation. So it made me sad that I allowed that person to control the situation versus me. So I was sad and angry at the same time. So the anger kind of just morphed through in different levels, I guess.
Okay. So guys, this is what's really important. I have a consultation that we use. We're about to launch an app very, very soon. And this app does the heavy lifting for you, which is going to be amazing. But right now we have a form that we use, which is an intake form. It goes over the rational, it goes over the gut feeling, the intuitive, and it goes over the heart. And the heart is that place for compassion, forgiveness, grace. That's where the grace is. And sometimes in grace, that means I'm trying to serve you. And in my gracefulness, I can't, and I have to let you go. Because in holding you with me, I'm what I permit, I promote. And I can't do that. And so that's very important. So guys, in the chat, please let us know how you got on with that, because I think that's a really important thing. And hopefully you found that really very helpful. So when we're looking at our consultation and we're looking at the game that we're playing here, and we're looking at the power of this, what we have, as I said, all of these are very important qualities, clearly, the rational, the gut, and the heart, but it's where you live that's very, very important. So when you live in one place for too long, you're out of balance. So the heart and the brain work together, and then there are connections from the brain to the heart and vice versa. That's why there is an emotion that goes through there. I'm not going to get into the whole thing because I'm not scientific enough, but I just want to place that there so that we can now dive into this and then look at where we're going to go next. So in looking at where we're going to go next, I've created 4 types of avatars here. And when I'm looking at these avatars, we've got the puppet. Rosemary just confessed that she felt like she was being manipulated by the client and she became the puppet and the client was pulling her strings. We've got the entertainer, we've got the technician, and we've got the artist. So we're going to dive into this. And by the way, we have a quiz that you can actually take. And maybe at the end of this, we can pop that in there and you can find out how you rank and how you score, because I believe we all have a little bit of this. And just as we will look at hairstyle, color formulations, and techniques analytically, which is important. We want to love what we're doing. We want the client to love what she's receiving, but we also want to honor the intuitive, the higher intelligence, that sense of knowing, which is beyond all levels. It's intuition is an inspired moment. So those are 3 very important things. And my consultation that I use taps into all 3 in a very balanced way, which is why it works. Amazing, right? So let's now dive into this, because we're looking at the puppet, the entertainer, the technician, and the artist. And we're going to look at how that plays out and who are you. And by being one of them strongly, you could be losing money. You could have challenges in raising your prices. You could be in a place of stagnation. You could possibly not be as creative as you would like to be because it's locked up in one of these little avatars. And when you have awareness, you can grow. Awareness is an opening of understanding, and it gives you room to move forward. And no one wants to drive down the road with a handbrake on in your car. So you're in a vehicle right now. And my question is, are you trying to go 100 miles an hour and you're in first gear? Are you in the car right now? You got the handbrake on? Where are you as you drive through your career? And are you enjoying and cruising along? Or what kind of roadblocks, barriers, potholes are you driving into or avoiding? And that's what we're going to talk about now. Is this, so far, guys, am I on target here? Is this helpful, what I'm discussing? Yes, okay. Good. All right. So when we're looking at this and we're looking at these different characters, what we've got to look at is how they play out. So let's look at, first of all, the artist. How does the artist come up with the ideas? So the artist is looking at how they open and close the face. The artist is analyzing balance and proportion. The artist is, I've got my little PowerPoint being naughty. The artist is looking at the aesthetic. Artists are really good at looking at the big picture, looking at the balance, the proportion. They're very visual. They're visually stimulated. And so the artist is going to be usually, especially if they've been trained, very, very good at looking at face shape to get their inspiration. But how does the artist come up with ideas? How do they do that? And so when we're looking at how do they come up with ideas, a great artist is going to understand the canvas that they're working on. A great artist understands the fabric that they're working on. The great artist is understanding how to put that on the right person in order to get that great look. When we're looking at the artist and they're getting that inspiration, the artist, yes, can take the inspiration from a photograph, but the big challenge is how many of us really can recreate a look just from a photograph. So for example, this hairstyle that I did, here's the sort of illustration of the hairstyle. Here is the hairstyle with the mannequin and then putting it on the real person. And you can see the artistic way of working is very, very creative. But what happens when the lights are on and no one's home? The artist is having a bad day. And so one of the great things that we love, and of course, this is so powerful, is that in my training, the whole time, I want to honor the artist, the puppet, the technician, and the entertainer, because we have all of those things. I want to teach you, first of all, how to do an amazing consultation, and then how to unpack it with an inspired moment, which is coming from your heart. The artist is very strong in heart, right? But I also want you to be able to be very strong and technical. So, Sarah, out of those 4 avatars, which one would you say that you are?
Well, I would say the technician and the artist, but mostly the technician.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's where I lived for a long time.
Yes. Rosemary, where would you say you are?
I've been in all 4.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it depends on the person that I'm dealing with, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. I think that when I find that I have more creative leeway, the artist will come to a head. When I'm working in my course of my day, I'm more in the technician world. Sometimes I allow people to dictate what I think I feel in my gut. So then I become more of a puppet. And then the other one was what was it? Oh, the entertainer. And then there's some people who just come to just be entertained, and all they want to do is just laugh and giggle. And, I'm just kind of doing and entertaining at the same time. So I'm guilty of all 4.
Well, I think that's brilliant what you said, because you're adapting to the client, and the client's bringing out those certain qualities within you. So I respect that. That's a very important thing, and I think that's true for most of us if we really look deeply. Now the question is, does it serve us to produce the finest work? So this is the challenge that you're going to have with the artistic approach, which is that because, and I'm going to give you an example. So let me just show you here, for example. 1 second. Let me go to full screen here. So if I'm the artist and I'm looking at this little cute pixie haircut here, and I'm working away, an artist, when I'm watching real artists, they're using their mirror. They're stepping back and they're working at the detail, and they are in and out looking at their canvas, because they're looking at the totality. So it's looking at shapes. They're not so much technical. So obviously the technical hairdresser is going to be, and we're going to this later, the technical hairdresser is going to be much more here, closer to their work, because they're spending a lot of time looking here, here, here. Now, if you spend so much time looking here, you are spending maybe 80% looking at your fingers. And what happens when it falls? Are you then coming back in and starting to playing with the hair like an artist and looking at the shape and the balance? Or are you, number one, at the wrong position, so you're above and you're not looking into the mirror? Number two, are you too close to the work? So the artist is going to step back. The artist is going to be very visual, because their eye is leading them through their work versus their hand, technical, connect the dots. All my dots must be perfect. Everything must be perfect. Yeah, a little bit of a fiddle, but go back into technical again. That's my little technical hat that I'm wearing. The artist is using their eye. So they cut and they're playing. And they'll go, I think I'll cut a bit more there. That's working from intuition. Like, that doesn't feel right. They're working from their heart. They're not in their technical space. Does this make sense? So then what happens is, sometimes those hairstyles are hard to recreate, because they were in their eye, looking at the shape, playing, snipping. Often the artist can be moving around a lot and going back into an area again and back into it again, because they're using their eye. They're not so technical. Now I'm talking about in its extreme. Clearly, there are artists that are 50-50. They're artistic and they're very technical, and they have that perfect fusion of 50-50. And what's that called? Mastery. Hello. But that's an awareness of, where's my body? What's my relationship to the hair? And they're aware of, there's the analytical part of what I'm doing. There is the feel, how I feel as I'm going through here. The hair's telling me something right now. Danger, danger. Drop it down. It's going to shrink. There's that gut feeling. And then there's the joy. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Right? So that's where you need to go. So that's a very different body language from the artist to the technician. So hopefully this is making some sense right now to you all. But let's just dive back into our subject matter here. And let's just look at the next part of this, which is the puppet. So the puppet's best friend is self-doubt. Quite sad. So the puppet, has this become a habit to become a puppet? Living in survival can be stressful because now you're living through somebody else telling you what to do and you're not trusting yourself. And Rosemary said earlier about she was more mad at herself when she did not take the control that she needed to. So the puppet, how does the puppet come up with ideas? So we spoke about the artist feeling very inspired. The artist is visual. The artist is looking at the big picture. The artist is going to stand the client up and make sure his art piece is looking amazing from head to toe. The puppet, very different in how they come up with ideas. So the client provides a photograph, or the client is now telling the hairdresser what they want to do. The client is in control. But what if the style is not realistic that she's asking for? So one of the things that creeps in for someone who is a true people pleaser, and obviously we want to please people, clearly, but I'm talking about when it's out of balance. You can feel intimidated, can feel frustrated, and can feel uninspired. So unrealistic expectations. Client comes in and she wants this bombshell blow dry, and you think it's humid. This is going to last 5 minutes. And she say, I want it. And you think, okay, I'm going to do it. And the moment she walks out the door, the whole thing's fallen apart. Unrealistic expectations. And she comes in with 4 hairs and a friend, and she doesn't have this voluminous hair. And you're trying to explain that all of the hair from the back is in the front, and maybe the lady has hair extensions and blah, 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 blah. She does not want to hear. She wants it the way that she wants it. Now you become her puppet. So now the next thing is she comes in, and again, she's got unrealistic expectations. She's got, hair that will not hold a wave like this. I'm just giving you examples. Or we get into a situation where, again, she sees this, she thinks it's amazing. Well, yes, this is a beautiful model, but she doesn't have that kind of look. And so again, lightening the hair, keeping the pastel pink, all the high maintenance, the damage to the hair. Is a great photograph. Is it realistic to wear this every day and keep it looking right? It's quite a bit of a challenge, right? So then when you have somebody come in with this beautiful complexion and you think, well, I'd like to be pink, and she's got a few blonde pieces in her hair, and you think, well, is that really going to work? And the answer is no. It's an unrealistic expectation. Now, the artist is going to say visually, no, that will never work for you. But the puppet's going to do all they can to please the client, and now it's backfiring on them, and that's where it's dangerous. Very important to protect your brand, because that's the integrity of who you are. So protect the integrity of your brand and learn how to say no, which we're going to go over in a moment. So imagine this, if you were no longer second guessing your skills, just imagine that. And that's what I spend more time working on this now than teaching a haircut. Can I teach a haircut? Of course I can. I can make anyone an amazing hair cutter and an amazing hairdresser. But the first thing I have to chisel away at is how you come up with your designs. Did anyone teach you how to innovate and come up with your designs? Did anyone teach you the process of being creative? Did anyone teach you the art of analyzing face shape, body type, saying it elegantly, saying it quickly and efficiently, and cutting to the chase? Because again, going back to what I was saying earlier, this is about how we actually train people in my program, and that makes it, so exciting. So let's bring my friends back in here. So talk to me about, Sarah, the puppet. Have you ever been a puppet? And how have you worked with people who are a puppet?
Of course, yeah, it's a very empty feeling when you feel like you're being bullied, or you don't have the self-esteem, or you don't have the skill set to actually offer something different that would be better.
And I think that's just nailed it on the head, because the only way to get true confidence is to be in the game, practicing and improving your craft. So anytime you try something new, there's going to be, oh, I'm not good enough, or blah, 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 whatever it goes on. But the only way to get good is to feel the discomfort and work through it. And the wonderful thing is that the way that I train people is that it's a journey. Now, I can teach you some quick tricks. Like I could teach you some hair hacks, the TikTok mindset, the Instagram mindset. But number one, I know it's not real. Number two, it will never last. True transformation is a journey. And I have courses that are short, and I have a course that's a mastery program, which is the designer program. And that takes the hairdresser on a journey. And that unpacking takes time, and it takes expertise in order to do that. And if any of you are here that are considering joining the designer program, it will change your life. Absolutely change your life, because I am there guiding you every step of the way. If you think about it, I work with you for 42 workshops, 42 live events, and we chisel away 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, and you slowly start to morph into something else. It's not that. It's not a YouTube video. It's not free. I don't believe in free. I think anytime you have a new hire, talent, and you say, I'll pay for you, foolish. They have to have skin in the game. They have to invest. And if you have people around you that won't invest, they make the excuse of time or money. I can argue both. And I can tell you, they don't want to learn. It could be fear that's in the way. It could be the spirit of laziness in the way. It could be that they don't really love hairdressing enough. They want a job, not a career. You've hired the wrong person. Hire people who are passionate to learn. Passionate to learn. I attract people in my life who are hungry to learn, which means they're always moving forward. If you today are at the same place as you were 1 month ago, you're going backwards. Because standing still is going backwards. And we're in an industry that's always, the world is moving forwards, and it's moving forward very quickly, and it's more competitive today. And if someone doesn't like what you've done, the world can know about it very, very quickly. Right? Posting information out there on social can be a blessing and a curse, right? So, Rosemary, for you, talk to us about, because I know Rosemary is incredibly skilled and incredibly talented. I mean, she cuts my hair, by the way. Getting a bit long, Rosemary. I need you again. I know. We need a date. So talk to me about your understanding of the puppet. And I hope, guys, this is helpful for you today. Just let me know if this is helpful.
Well, I think the understanding of a puppet, what it does is it disempowers you. And I don't mean it like in a strength manner. It makes you feel like you've lost your way. And I think that sometimes I look at it as a puppet, it definitely isn't good to be a puppet, but it is a good learn to be a puppet, because you need to know what it's like so you can reflect back on how far you've come after you've gone through. Like I try to give myself, I mean, I'm not good at it. I'm still working at it. I try to give myself 24 hours, like 24 hours to have like my, I have a.
Oh, bring your cat in.
No, well, that wasn't mine. That's my mother's cat. That she's over here making a debut. That's the little lady. She wanted to be a part of the conversation. Sorry about that. Anyway, I think it's important for every person, no matter what skill or level that you're at, when you're going through a journey of something going wrong and you feel like someone else has controlled the situation, write it down and release it to the universe, but don't lose it. Meaning, don't put it some way that you don't go back and reflect back on it, so that you can say, look how far I've come from that point. Because I think that if you don't play into some of these 4 different roles, or these 4 categories as you break it down, you can't grow forward, and you can't fail forward, because you have to go through those things. You have to know what it's like to start at the back end, so that you know that when you're going forward, you know that you have progressed in a direction where you have grown. Like, in other words, you can celebrate you. Yes. And you can celebrate what you've become. And continually ask You know, I love a question in that one of our mentors, and Vivian, you know this one very well, and Sarah, I'm sure you've heard us talk about it. You know, a question that you want to may ask somebody, whether it's a mentor or a friend, somebody that you really can unleash like kind of your true feelings. Ask them, say, what is it like to be on the other side of me? You know, have them give you a perspective of what their lens is like. And I think that a lot of times that puppet that we may be playing or those other parts might not be as bad as you think, because they're giving you perspective on what you may not want to. So that's, I know I kind of went off on a tangent, but
No, it's powerful.
it's something that I'm really working through. This year has been a year where I'm really trying to kind of digress from only just being the technical and trying to understand the person who's giving to another. So
Very powerful. Thank you so much, Rosemary. Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
I'd like to add something to what Rosemary just said. I love that question. I was in a seminar one time and they said we had to reflect for about 5 minutes on the question, what is it like to be around you? What is it like to be around you? And we had to sit there for 5 minutes in this totally quiet room of like 150 people and really think about, what is it like to be around you? And it's a really profound question. And it's not anything, you know, that you would normally think about.
Well, I think if you flip this around too and ask yourself, how would you feel if you sat in your own chair and you were playing it safe when you're looking for something new? You don't have that confidence, because at the end of the day, that client chose to sit in your chair. Whether they choose to come back is a whole nother thing. So what we're looking at here, when we're looking at the journey that we're going through, the puppet needs to understand shape, balance, proportion. They need to understand, and this example here, we're looking at a pear face shape, or you could call it a triangle face shape, and we're looking at silhouettes that work for that face shape. They need to understand that first. They need to expand the skill set so that when the client is being bossy or dominating, they have some fuel, they have something they can say. When you're looking as the puppet and you have clients with such a diversity of looks, you need to be able to give them such a professional consultation. You need to be able to step into the artist. And if the artist and the creative part of you has been locked away, you won't be able to open it unless you trust the process and you have the skill to be able to do these hairstyles. You've got to be able to have that diversity to understand curls and texture and so on and so forth, and build your brand. Whether it's soft texture or whether it's just cute little bobs, it's that incredible diversity and making sure that every single one of your clients, it's a perfect fit, and that you're honoring who they are and not putting you on the client. You're giving, is the look must be the ideal look for the client, and that's what's so important. So in summary, when we're looking at this and we're looking at these little characters and we're saying, right, you know, how would the puppet be? I said the artist is stepping back with confidence. They have the courage to look into the mirror because they are designing and they are looking through here. The puppet is almost scared to look in the mirror, because what if I don't like the look in her eyes right now? I think I'll just carry on here. Oh, no, she's got one of those weird looks in her eyes again. Okay. Oh, no, I won't. It's amazing how many people have not made friendship with the mirror. And the mirror is a tool. The mirror is the big picture. When I'm designing, I design into the mirror because that's how the client sees herself. I'm designing to what she sees. And if I spend too much time here, my perspective has changed. If I never look up or step back or I'm above, that's my perspective. And this must always be my perspective. I always say to hairdressers when I'm watching them in our live workshops, I say, you know, you're working too close, step back. And when I'm saying measure, step back. Don't be here measuring, step back and measure. Look only at the shape, but you want to look at it technically as well as visually. And that's the difference. So generally speaking, the puppet has a hard time engaging into the mirror because it's confrontational. And I've had people that especially in New York, I say to them, say to me, I love my mirror. And they go, I love my mirror. No, no, no. I love my mirror. I love my mirror. No, no, no. Come on. I love my mirror. I'm going to look into my mirror and I'm going to design to you because I know. Standing the client up. Wow, how empowering for the puppet. I'd like to stand you up right now. Just want to make sure this hairstyle balances for your body type. Now you can sit down. Right, shampooed, come back again. Right, we've worked on the hairstyle. Just want you to stand up one more time just to make sure that this length is going to be right for you. I'm going to do a little snip right now before we shampoo you because I'm looking at how it's going to shrink. I want to see it dry. Right, now I'm going to shampoo you. Now it's hanging even lower. It's like, wow, that really, I've got to allow for shrinkage here. I promised here, I did not promise there. And I'm not going to go, oh, I went a bit short. I didn't expect it to shrink quite like that, right? So, you know what? We're all the same, guys. I'm no different to any of you. But what I'm aware of now is the moment there's a problem, it's how quickly can I fix it? And that's what makes that so super, super exciting. So as we move on now, we're going to now take a look at the next one, which is, oops, where did I go? So the 3 basic emotions and needs of a woman. Number 1, to feel safe. Number 2, to be seen. Number 3, to be heard. All of these avatars need to do this, but the puppet needs to do it the most. And what's so important about this, I'm going to bring my friends back in here. What's so important about this is every woman needs to feel safe. It's the number 1 thing. She's in your chair. She's trapped with a gown. She's trapped by all the stuff, and she needs to feel safe. And if you haven't won her during that consultation, you're in big trouble. Better off not doing her hair. Better to have her go and think about it, or better to recommend her to somebody that maybe is more appropriate, because you want to serve, and you can't serve when everything's shut down. So the puppet and all of us need to feel safe. And remember, when you invest in education, yes, you're doing it for yourself, but you know who's more important? When you invest in education, the client is going to get more. So when you spend endless hours scrolling on Instagram, you may come up with an idea, guaranteed most of them you'll forget, and I guarantee most of them you'll never ever do. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yep, yep. So you've just wasted a whole lot of time. You may have heard in my presentations before, the average person here in the United States spends 2 hours a day on social media, which equals 30 days of the year. The Gen Z and the Alpha, by the time they get to my age, they will spend 20 years of their life scrolling. Now, if scrolling brings you business, if scrolling increases your confidence, if scrolling gives you great ideas that you can execute, carry on scrolling. But you have just given away 30 days this year, and then total 20 years of your life to it. And how did the client benefit? Versus being immersed in an educational program that reveals incredible results and the client sees it. And I know for both of you, Sarah, share a story about your clients and how they've responded to the Sarah now and what you're doing.
Well, I mean, I have more ideas. I have more joy. I have more energy behind my chair. And clients like notice it, they definitely notice it. And they're also leaving feeling like they have been seen and heard, and analyzing the face shape and analyzing the body type and going through the consultation form is very comforting. I feel like, because it really encompasses a lot of things and it's very thorough. So I feel like I am empowered with ideas through the process of going through the consultation form, and they're empowered and excited about what we're discussing, which is them. I mean, most people like talking about themselves, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's recap this, guys. A woman needs to feel safe. Number 1 thing. I was in a Tony Robbins event. There were thousands of people. And Tony Robbins, one of the great leadership coaches, he doesn't like to be called a coach, but anyway, he's an incredible man. I'm sure you all know of him. He asked for the women, how many of you is it important to feel safe? Every woman in the audience put her hand up. He asked the same question of men, and I think 3 men put their hand up. Wasn't even important to a man. That's very important to understand. To be seen. Did you see her head to toe? How does she walk? Like a truck driver or a ballerina? How does she walk? How does she sit? What's her posture? Is she hunched? Does she have shoulders back? How's her posture? How's that hair going to live on the shoulders if she's hunched and she's got swinging hair like this, like a scary, scary creature, right? What is her essence, right? So to be seen isn't just looking at her this way. To be seen is looking at her totally. I challenge you tomorrow, really, really do that. Really look at your client. Another thing I'd love to challenge you to do. I mentioned earlier about when you, we just go here for a second. When you stand your client up and you are saying to your client, I'd just like you to stand up right now so I can just make sure that this hair length is correct for your body type. Now I'm looking this way, which is really different to this, which is probably why I never ever looked at them like that. It's embarrassing and it's very invasive, but it's not when I'm looking like this and I'm just playing with the hair, but I'm looking to see what's going on. I'm now aware of so much more than before, right? And that is such an important part. The other thing too, when you have someone who's a bit of a resistor, if you take a photograph of the front and the side and then together, you actually look at their before pictures on the phone and you're showing them on the phone and you're talking about them. So this is first person, but now when it's on the phone, it's like the second person. So you can say, can you see how the length is there? Can you see this, that, and the other? And you have that conversation. So now both of you are outside looking at the same reference versus here, confrontational, here a little less confrontational because we're through the mirror. And if you're hitting walls, using these strategies can help you. So a lovely lady, her name is Kathy, who she's just joined my team. And she said something so brilliant last week. It was like, wow. She said, you know what? People are always waiting for the perfect moment. And she said, just think about it. You get up in the morning and you're going to go out and you get in your car. You could have a few car problems, maybe not. You may hit more red lights than you wanted to. You may have a detour. There could be an accident on the road. You could take the wrong turning. You could lose the power on your phone and your GPS is no longer working. There's all these things that can go wrong in a day, but we still go out. We don't say, oh no, I'm not going to go out today. I could hit a red light. Don't think I'll do that. Right? It's going out and it's living. And the same thing applies for us when we're working with people. I hope that makes sense, that sort of example. But let's dive back into this for a moment and let's just go into the next part of this, because the next one that I want to talk about is the entertainer. And the entertainer, wonderful. So all hairdressers have a bit of entertainer within them. I went to this amazing salon in New York. John Sahag, God bless him, when he was alive, went there, spent some time with him, and it was very zen. The hairdressers did not talk to their clients during the service. They did a very quiet consultation, and then there was total silence because John believed you needed to focus and be into the hair and into the design. So he was not about entertaining. So that person who was attracted was really into the craft of the hair. They wanted an amazing haircut. They wanted amazing service. And they knew that they were not going to have to be engaged in chit chat and small talk. It was very quiet. He built the brand that way. And the people who went to him really enjoyed that, right? So let's talk about the entertainer, because it has very different traits and qualities in its extreme. How does the entertainer come up with ideas? They can look at a person in many different ways and take them on the journey. But one of the most beautiful things about the entertainer is that they are very good at creating a raving fan. They're able to take their clients on a nice journey because they show how much they care. That's how they get raving fans. They help their client. They have raving fans, and their clients trust them, and the clients love the experience of being with them. And that's really huge. So this is another area, again, where when I'm working with my stylists, I want to be able to coach them in this area too. So let's talk about the entertainer. And how many of you out there can relate to this, that you have a little bit of that going on in your life? So talk to me about the entertainer, Rosemary.
Well, I think with the entertainer, again, I think it comes twofold. I think when you're doing the world of entertaining is understanding the mindset of where that person is. Some people need to feel like a sense of they are related with you, like you were talking about being seen. So if you're sitting in the kind of like the same context of their world, and they feel like they can relate to you, whether it be through music, whether it be through arts, whatever it may be, where a conversation of something like that entertainment can take a focus and have that person open up more. So you become the entertainer to their world, to become part of their environment, especially when it's something in alignment to who they are. So that has to be there. Yes, you can definitely have that client that doesn't want to have that conversation, and you'll feel that energy right away. I think that comes with an experience. But there's also that person that needs to feel like a sense of like they're part of your world as much as you are a part of their world.
Yes, absolutely. Sarah, how is that for you?
Yeah, definitely with the like-mindedness. When you have people who are similar, or you have similar interests or whatever, you can like share stories. And I don't know, I always enjoy making people laugh. So I always have to do something, or I don't know. I just feel like I love laughter, and I like to hear people laugh. So
Yes, yes. And so what I want to just show you right now is, if I'm the artist and I'm looking at my hairstyle and I'm looking at the whole vibe that I've created here. By the way, we did this morning in our editorial virtual workshop. This is all hair sewn through here, and this is hair sewn all the way across here. So if I'm now going to go into here and I'm going to take this up into a little chignon and I'm being entertaining, I am very distracted because I need to concentrate, like I really do right now. I need to concentrate on what I am doing here and how to make this hairstyle be amazing. So if I'm talking about the weather, the boyfriend, or whatever, I'm not focused on this, what I'm doing, and I am really not concentrating. So if I am the entertaining person and I'm going to do this hairstyle, for me to be able to be happy with what's going to walk out the door, I need to be focused on her. I can't be entertaining. I can only have one conscious thought in my mind at a time. So if I'm working on this, I'm going to be saying to my client, I just really need to concentrate right now and focus on what I'm doing. So I'll chat with you in a moment, but right now I need to zone into your hair. So as I'm coming through here and I'm going, right, I've got to concentrate, get this needle through here. Come on, you can do it. There we go. So I have a needle and thread, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew into here. And the last thing I want to be doing is chit-chatting, because I'm executing a hairstyle right now and it's taking everything. So whether I'm doing a bob, whether I'm doing a razor, a framing around the face, trust me, I'd rather be quiet right now. But what I'm trying to do is create a beautiful shape, and I need to be focused and concentrating. So it's okay, entertainer, to just say to your guest that I don't have to fill every second of the moment talking. Silence can be okay. I need to be designing, as I am, and I need to concentrate. And there is something really beautiful about silence. Giving yourself permission not to talk. And when you're concentrating like this, and your client can see your focus, and your attention to detail, she'll respect that. Now the artist is going to stop and look into the mirror. What's that? Oh. Oh no, it's on this side. My camera's flipped around the opposite direction. It's throwing me. But when I'm now as the artist looking, I'm going to stop and I'm going to be looking at my shape. I'm going to be working into the mirror. I'm going to be studying the shape from every single angle to look at the balance and the proportion. I'm not only looking here, I'm going to be looking at my big picture as I'm going through. Now the technician is going to be all in here. The details. Oh, this is not perfect. It must be perfect. Oh, that's not perfect. Oh, I better make that perfect. Oh my goodness me, everything must be perfect. That's the technician. The puppet's like, oh God, I hope she likes this. What if she doesn't like it? I think I'm going to need a Valium. Or maybe she needs a Valium. Why am I doing hairdressing in the first place? Well, I'll just keep working away, and I'll keep working away, and I'll keep working away. And oh my God, it's got so tight. I hate it. I hate it, right? But I'm working away, and I never once look at what I'm doing, right? Never once do I stop and look at what I'm doing. So when you're looking at these qualities, how can I make you an amazing hairdresser if you're not looking at it the right way? How can I make you a great hairdresser when you're stuck in your head? How can I make you more creative if you don't understand how to listen to intuition and listen to your heart? How can I make you a great hairdresser? It's not just your hands, your brain, your eye is telling your hands what to do. And if you're an artist and you're organic and natural, how are you going to repeat this? Are you going to do this time after time again if this is something you're going to do? So it's understanding that all of these traits are amazing. It's great to entertain. It's great to accommodate the client. And sometimes, yes, you become a little bit of a puppet because maybe they know more about their hair than you do. And they're actually right. Absolutely. But when we live in one place and we negate all the other qualities, we're only playing one tune. We're playing the violin, but we could be an orchestra. We could be a symphony because all of these things make you the creative person that you are. So I hope that makes sense, right? In terms of like demonstrating those values as we're going through. Was that helpful, guys?
That was beautiful. And you actually as you were going through and talking about each one, the energy that you were emitting was so different.
Yeah.
You know, it was very interesting to watch that self-talk and that little voice inside your head and how that changed the energy.
Yeah. And then, you know, when you practice your craft every day, you know that you're on your game. When you don't practice your craft to a certain level, you're the first one to notice you slipped. And then when time passes by, your colleagues notice that you slipped. And then time passes by and a few of your less raving fans notice you've slipped. So it's a practice. And if you don't practice it, something starts to collapse. And that's the important part of what we're exploring here today. So the technician, let's talk about the technician because the technicians are super powerful character and they're brilliant. So the technician, how does the technician come up with ideas? They will be very analytical. They are very mathematical in the way they're looking at something and they're going, right, how is this going to work? So the technician is going to understand the angles, the geometry, the structure of a haircut, the structure and the science of the color. They're very technical, and technical is a solid answer. It's a science in a way. It's not the organic, intuitive. If you remember when I spoke at the beginning, you're going to come up with a gut feeling on something that could be as far away from logic as possible, but somehow it works because it's an inspired moment. So the technician comes up with ideas in a different way. They love the technique, and sometimes they get lost in the technique. And what sometimes can happen is that they sacrifice the big picture, because again, we have to be detail and big picture. So let's take this example, this really cute little haircut. A technician is going to be very, very analytical and going to look at how that lives on the different face shapes. And again, this is what we dive into within the training program. So did that actually show? Yeah, you did? Okay. So let's go now and let's just role play the technician, right? Let's just see how the technician is going to be, because when you're in a technical place, I actually did this once as an exercise. The technician is absolutely going to be, they will have worked out the balance, hopefully. They will have looked at where it's going to live on the face, hopefully, if they've been trained to analyze all of that. But sometimes the technician's so into the hair and so into the haircut, and they're so busy working here and they're working here and they're getting into it, right? They're really into it and they're working through and they're into it, right? And sometimes they have a hard time stepping away because they're into it. And then when they're working in the mirror, some technicians don't like looking in the mirror. They get into it and they'll blow dry. And when the hairstyle's done, they'll go, oh, okay. Well, I think I better start texturizing it. I think I better that's a bit too long. And okay, I'm going to detail this here. And I think I'm going to change this here. And I'm going to debulk it here. And now we've got two haircuts going on. But what about planning? What about thinking, not leaving it till later? So the technician can sometimes get caught up in the technique, that they're not playing enough with the hair. They're not stepping back from the hair enough. They're not being visual enough. They're not allowing the creativity come through because the technician is very, very structured. And creativity doesn't like to live in a tight box. Creativity likes to float and be more organic and flow. Creativity comes from your heart, comes from your gut, and it will tell the head, right? Okay, better do this and better do that. But it comes from a different place. Again, we have all of them within us. And the ultimate thing is balance. And balance is the hardest thing of all in any art form or craft, to have that balance between detail, the big picture. The artist is big picture, the technician's detailed. So a haircut from a technician, it's going to be always the same, really good, very well constructed, easy for the client to maintain at home because they've understood the science of the hair. Where the artist today may be good, next time is a little bit off because they weren't feeling quite the same emotions because they're more emotionally driven. Where the technical's in their head, analytical, they're usually on time, they're organized, they're structured, they're neat and tidy because they're very technical in the way that they function. And that's fantastic. But what are the other layers we can add to that technician to create the magic? And that's what I'm speaking about right now. So we had one of the girls in the class and I said to her, like, what are you going to do? And she said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do in the front. I'm going to do that later. I went, no, you're not. Put your tools down. You haven't even, if you're cutting right now and you don't know what you're going to do around the face, which is the most important part of the hairstyle, you haven't thought it out. You haven't planned it. You're just going la, la, la through the hairstyle. Oh, I'll do it at the end. Well, what if this compromises this or this compromises that? Because everything's connected. I said, stop right now. And she's swishing the hair across and she's doing this. I said, that doesn't look any good. I said, why don't you drop it down into a little curtain fringe and then flip these sides out? Let's see how that's going to be. And she went, oh my God, that looks amazing. I said, I just saved you 10 minutes. I said, don't ever say, well, I'll see what it's like at the end. That's like building a house and saying, oh, well, I want my bedroom somewhere else, please. I'll see what it's like when it's built. No, it's called voguing around the face. It's called planning. It's visualizing where you're going to go. And it's not being reliant on a photograph. A photograph is an inspiration, but usually most photographs you can't even copy because that's not who's sitting in your chair, right? So that way of working. Now, when I work like that, my way of working, for any of you actually seen me work, if I cut this off here, that's my technical part. But I've been very visual about what I'm doing, why I'm doing, and so on. The moment I let that drop, I'm going to be playing with this. I'm going to be moving into place. I'm going to be looking at all of this, and I'm going to be designing as I go. I'm then going to step back. Then I'm going to come back in again, and I'm going to go, right, that works. So I'm now going to come in. I'm going to take the next section. I'm going to cut that. And I'm going to drop it down. I'm going to look with it and play. That works. I'm going to use my mirror. Okay, that works. That works. Now I'm going into my next section. I never do this. Remove, 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 remove. Here we go. We're in the removal business. What's the time? Oh, yeah, carry up. Yeah, okay. I've blasted through. I've removed. Now I'm blow drying. Oh, well, I better start detailing this. I'm going to detail. I'm going to detail. I'm going to detail. I'm detailing. Oh, no, don't like that. Okay, detail, detail. Oh, don't like that. What the hell are you doing?
It's so funny to see you even act like that.
I actually feel sick. Isn't that amazing? I actually feel
so
physically
funny.
sick from doing that because it's a horrible feeling. The feeling when someone sits in your chair and you don't like them and you just can't wait for them to go. That happens, right? It's a mismatch of energies and personalities, whatever. You don't like the hair type. You don't like what they're doing. And you're thinking, that's going to walk out. This is walking out with my name on it. I'm not proud of it. Or I'm so proud of it. My heart sings. I'm not proud of it. I feel sick in my gut. I don't want to do hair anymore, right? So, it's how you set the whole thing up. And that's where the power is in this. And as I said before, no one ever talks about this. No one ever talks about this whole journey. And that to me is so very, very, very important. So what do you take from that, Rosemary?
I think I'm going to resign. I'm officially resigning.
No, don't say that, Rosemary. That is why we have the hair designer program, because guys, that's what we do in the program. I teach you, as I say, much more than hair cutting. It's such a profound journey that we go on. So that's what makes it so very, very exciting. So in our hair designer program, we have a library of amazing content. And within the library, first of all, this is how it works. You watch your videos of that week. So you watch those videos, and then what you do is you come to a class. And in that class, you are actually in action. And there's our Sarah there. You're in action. You're doing your magic. You're working along with me, and I'm guiding you every step of the way. So you've watched the video, you're recreating what you saw in that video. And often we'll even innovate beyond that, which is really exciting. And then from there, you put your work into our forum, you photograph your hairstyle, you put it into the forum so that I can give you feedback and I can give you a review. So it's like the 1, 2, 3 process. If you're interested in joining us, you can book a call right now, and we can give you some more information about it, because we've just opened up enrollment for our next program, which is starting in a few weeks. So if you're interested, now's the time to jump on the bandwagon. What I wanted to do today is just summarize for you these important things. So what we have here is the puppet, always doing what the client wants, often compromising core values. The artist, inspired one day, but struggling to recreate that masterpiece the next time. The technician, obsessed with precision, but sometimes can lose sight of the bigger picture. The entertainer, dazzling clients with charm and customer service, but can often miss design details. And that's really important to be aware of. My quest is tonight that I hope you'll want to raise your standards. And imagine this, you're no longer second guessing your skills. Could you imagine not second guessing anymore? Could you imagine that? You feel confident, you're creative, you're fulfilled by your work, all while making more money behind your chair. These two fabulous ladies who are here, I'm sure they have moments where it's like, really? It's called being a human being. But I would say they live in the best space because they're always raising their standards. And that's what's so super, super powerful. So I'm hoping that you're going to join us tonight. And Sarah, what advice would you give to our friends?
My advice would be, if you even think about, leveling up, like if you have a question in your mind, like, what should I be doing to increase my prices? What can I do to feel more fulfilled? And what can I do to be more creative? If you have those questions, this program is for you. I mean, it truly is. It answers all of those questions, and it gives you back the joy. For me, for sure, it gave me back the joy that I had when I first started. I think we have an amazing industry, and I think we can get bogged down with time and habits. And once we kind of get out of the way of ourselves and just say, yes, I'm going to do something different. And you do that one little thing different, and then another little thing different, then pretty soon you have the things that you say you want.
Absolutely. Rosemary, what would you say to everybody?
Well, I'm going to borrow a phrase that was once presented to me more often than not. And it was, ask yourself, when's the last time you did something for the first time that you really fully invested in yourself and decided that, remember, guys, all of you who are in the industry, you came into the industry for a specific reason, whether it be the creativity, whereas the love of doing hair, you wanted to hang out with your friends, you wanted to be with women, whatever it may be, or men, or whatever the case is. But, really find yourself in a position of saying, okay, we can all find reasons why to give up. Well, what's the reason you wanted to do it? And just imagine if you took that time to think about how you felt when you first did something and you accomplished it, and that excitement, that like almost like a celebration, of that aha. Now just imagine if you have that opportunity for all the weeks that you have it, where you have somebody who's standing alongside you. For those of you who know me from other times, I mean, there was a time I was in a gap where I was in a very, very, very busy salon that, being a one after the other kind of gal was normal. That was normal. That was the world that I was groomed into. And it really caused me to kind of put a real question into my career, whether I wanted to continue, because I felt like I was just like a put a coin in a machine and just keep me going. And if it wasn't for Vivian and giving me the opportunity to move through learning to define and refine my craft and really bringing a different layer, I don't really consider my clients clients. I would consider them more as family, because they allow me the opportunity to expand. They give me forgiveness when I may not be certain, but they'll also encourage me when things are going right. And I'm truly passionate about always learning, and I'm okay with unlearning and relearning, even if it's something I've learned. So again, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of going on this journey of thought, but really ask yourself, when's the last time you did something for the first time?
Beautiful. So well said. So well said. So guys, if you want to come and be a VIP guest at one of my workshops, you're more than welcome to come. You have to apply. And in applying, you can go actually to our website where you can see be a guest, and you can join our lovely journey. And you can also get to see the program in action. So you can come to the hair designer program and you can actually see what actually takes place when we're doing one of these fabulous events. What I do know to be the most important thing is that when I have looked at, I've worked with the greatest hairdressers in the world, and It was terrifying. I'll never forget when I left college. I went to the best college in the UK, in London, the London College of Fashion. And a friend of mine said, Vivi, darling, whatever you do, work for the best of the best, and then it will rub off on you. And even if you're the worst one in the room, you're surrounded by better people. Never be the smartest person in the room. Always surround yourself with people who know more. Always. That's how you grow. A day when you're not growing is a very sad day, because people thrive in progress. And if you feel stuck or trapped, it's because there's not the progress that you want. And I believe that the world is so competitive today. There's so much noise out there. We don't need more information. What the world needs is wisdom. And you can't do it alone. You've got to be held accountable. You've got to have a path and a roadmap. And I don't need to prove myself to you, because I have so many incredible people, the two beautiful ladies who are with me tonight, and many more who have transformed their lives. And that means more to me than any awards that I've won. It means more to me than a standing ovation. It means more to me than collections that I've shot. Because when you shape a life and you transform a life, that's now going to go out there and magnify. And that person, the Sarah and the Rosemary, are now touching heads, and they're changing lives too. That's a beautiful thing, to be in that level of service to the world, right? So I take this very seriously. And what saddens me is when I care for people's progress more than they care for themselves. And I get very often salon owners saying to me, well, Viv, I just hired somebody and she doesn't want to invest in her training. Then I say, well, you've got the wrong hire, because that mindset you hired is, I don't want to grow. That mindset is the spirit of laziness. That mindset is an excuse. Oh, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. That's rubbish. If you spent $6 a day on a cup of coffee, if you could, I think that works out to like $2,200 for the year. Could you not redivert funds? Could you not do a raffle in the salon? We're trying to raise money for da 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 da, and your person who says they don't have any money, then get them hustling. Get them out of entitlement and get them hustling and being innovative about, I'm going to do a raffle. We're going to big gift basket and so on. And this is to actually get this kid off so that she can go and do some great education. Innovate, right? There's always a way when you want to. Oh, I don't have time. Really? Really? We're all given the same measure of 24 hours a day. How about maybe not watching Netflix for a night? How about not spending 2 hours a day on social media? And instead of 30 days of a year being spent on social, how about only spending 10 of those days? Excuses will take you off your pathway to success. And doing something that's going to transform your life is a decision right now. I challenge every single one of you that's here right now. I challenge you, book a call. I challenge you, go to the website and you can sign up and go to one of my VIP sessions and watch in real life how I change lives. Sometimes I give somebody a hug and say, come on, you can do it. Sometimes I say, come on now. I know there's more in there. You're not performing at your best. And who wants to show up? Who wants to roll out of bed saying, I think I want a really mediocre, inferior day? No. We all get out of bed hoping that it's going to be a good day, but hope's not a strategy. You've got to make it happen, right? You've got to make it happen. And, when I look at the programs that I've created, I'm not just this digital product where if you show up, I don't care. I do care, because I get to see you every week. And so when people say, well, Viv, that, it's a big investment of time and blah, 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 blah. I say, well, look at the transformation that's going to take place. Aren't you worth it? Aren't your clients worth it? Do you want to be a 1-star or you want to play at a 5-star? But mindset is everything. When you open the mindset and say, I'm going to raise my standards. And I challenge you, if you don't do anything tonight, I entertained you a little tiny bit, I hope. I gave you some thought to, gave you something to think about. I gave you okay, so if there is a puppet and there's a technician and an artist and an entertainer, we all have it, right? Which one's dominant? Is it producing everything that I want? If I'm an entertainer, can I just quieten down when I'm focusing and say to my client, I won't be talking to you for the first 5 minutes of this haircut because I need to concentrate? When you're aware of yourself and you can say, this is my gap, then you can have a strategy. You can have a game plan. And I actually don't believe in goals. I believe in a target. And when you want to raise your prices and when you want to have more creative clients, and the thing I hear today too is I'm growing old with my clients. I need new clients. Well, that's a strategy, isn't it? What new hairstyles are you doing? Are you still doing the same finishing and the blow drying that you did 5 years ago or 10 years ago? How much are you innovating and freshening up your looks to attract new people? So it's about being in the driver's seat of your life and saying, I will be a lifelong learner. I'm going to invest in only the best of the best. And yeah, you can go out there and learn how to cut a bob from like thousands of people. But will they talk to you about face shape? Will they talk to you about the things we were speaking about tonight? Because that's going to be your trigger that makes you make that decision. And when you're aware of that, it's so powerful and profound. So I hope you found this valuable tonight. What's your biggest takeaway from this tonight, Sarah?
My biggest takeaway is to recognize where I live mostly, in the technician part. Also, I do want to celebrate my growth too, and know that I have become more of an artist, and I have, and that's where I get my joy. I really do like being more, having more ideas and seeing things differently than I did before. And I remember hearing you talk about hair and style and whispering, screaming, or shout, and how feminine or how boyish, or, I heard you use all these words when I first started working with you. And I thought, I want to sound like her, but I feel like a fraud. I didn't know enough. And now that I've been in your programs for so long, that is my vocabulary. That is the conversation I have with people. And it's very second nature now. And I'm not a fraud. I actually have grown into the knowledge of the knowledge that you share with us.
And I bet your clients are so happy.
They are.
And you're making more money.
Yeah, and I've raised my prices 3 times too. And I'm actually going to do it again in January. So this will be my 4th price increase in 3 years. So I've not really, they haven't really complained about it. So we'll see, I mean, it's going to open up space for people. And it just will. It'll just be a natural thing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Rosemary, what's your takeaway from this evening?
I think it's always so many takeaways. I think it's just, again, it's a reflection of where your journey started, or where my journey started to where I am today. I still think to myself, what an honor. Guys, listen, me having the opportunity to cut Vivian's hair has been one of the most terrifying things on the planet, but it has allowed me the opportunity to really focus and work hard on my craft. And it's terrifying because, she's such a highly regarded person, and she's got such beautiful skills, and she's got very high standard, and she doesn't live in 5. She lives in like 85. So I'm just telling you that from a hairdresser, from the world that we live in, you keep working at yourself, you'll be able to accomplish things that you may not even think that you can happen. And I am so grateful for them. That's what I would say I learned.
Beautiful, beautiful. So guys, remember, your mindset is what you take everywhere. And you have to always ask yourself, your style, your brand has to evolve. And as your brand evolves, you've just got to say, am I authentic? Am I the best version of myself? Because I never want people to be cloned. We are in one of the most remarkable industries where AI can help us, but right now it can't come in and cut people's hair, and it can't deal with the emotion and the complexity of being a human being. And so while the estimated amount of jobs that are going to be lost over this next 10 years is extraordinary. Hairdressers are very blessed to touch a person, to design a couture hairstyle to who is sitting in their chair, to be able to communicate with skill and professionalism all of your knowledge, which every day has to grow. And when you live this truth, you will attract people into your life who want a piece of who you are. Sarah has right now somebody who's coming through the training program. And I always say, if you're a salon owner, show up with your team and do it by their side. And Grace, who is working with Sarah, is extraordinary. She's in her early 20s. She is so creative. She's only been doing hair under 6 months. She came into the designer program. She's under the mentorship and the training with Sarah. And it is so impressive what she's doing. And I keep warning her, you have a natural gift and talent, therefore you must work harder than anybody else because it comes too easy to you. And when a real challenge comes your way, you'll be the first one to buckle because everything was easy. And you need to feel a little bit of pain. You need to feel a little bit of discomfort because in this training, I need to prepare you for that difficult client, that resistor, that fence sitter, that person where the communication went wrong. And you have to have the fortitude and strength to be able to navigate through that. And everything is so sweet. And you only leave the house because all the lights are green and there are no detours and everything's beautiful. You need the roadblocks. You need the red lights. You need the challenges because that's going to give you the character. We don't grow when life is sweet and beautiful. We grow in the hard times. And in those hard times, it can be quite challenging. That's why we need to be together. Because generally, we don't all go through a wobbly woo at the same time. One person comes up and the other one goes down. And you lift that person up and then the other one goes down. Managing a salon is like having a box of newborn puppies. They're all wagging their tails and they don't know quite where they're going. You get 3 in the box and then 1 escapes and then get that one back in the box and they're all wagging their tails. And that's how crazy it is managing hairdressers, right? So that's the world we live in, right? So that's what's important. So guys, I just want to thank you. And I have been reading the comments in the chat and I do appreciate Kelly and Elaine and Star who's with us, Deborah, and many more of our lovely friends who are here. Please share this. I think it's very helpful. We will, if you are interested, can I email you the link? I think there's the link to the quiz and find out what you are. How about that? Find out. And I want to challenge you. Share this with at least 2 people. Tonight, be of service to somebody else. Bless somebody else's life tonight because they may need to hear this message. Something I said tonight could change their lives. So be the servant tonight and serve. Give this to somebody else tonight, please. And the other thing I would ask, show up for one of my VIP sessions so that you can have the experience of what I'm doing. And if you are ready to jump into the designer program, I promise you, you will not regret this. It will be the most amazing experience that you've ever had. And you will not even recognize who you are. We've just had someone who's done it for the 3rd year. I know Star did it for 1 year, but the person who just finished for their 3rd year, I mean, amazing what this young lady is doing. Totally transformed her entire life. Misty Walker totally changed her life. And she was someone 32 years in the business, sick of people, sick of her clients, hated life. And she now is obsessed with learning and creating. And she shows up regardless. She's on a different time zone. She gets up at 5 in the morning and she just shows up. That is a winner. Catch yourself when you make an excuse. When we see other people that are not so perfect, we criticize them. When we do exactly the same thing, we make excuses. So guys, I thank you for staying with me. We went way over. This was only supposed to be an hour tonight.
It's always supposed to be an hour.
I know. And I had so many technical issues tonight with my devices. Nothing was working tonight. But anyway, we got through it, right? So there's the quiz. So guys, my team member has just put the quiz there. So cut and paste that quiz, and we will also send it to you in an email. And I look forward to more connections with you. Sarah, thank you. It's an honor to have you in my life. I love you dearly.
Thank you. It was great to be here.
Rosemary, I love you, my lovely chia pet. I love you so much. You're amazing. You're beautiful. You're just a beautiful star in my life. Guys, thank you for being here. I wish you a beautiful evening, and please share this with our friends. Take care and good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.